whatever.
Yeah, can we talk about the unlock feature of on the game to where literally you have to select what you want to unlock and then do daily challenges to get it?
I'm Garrett Alexander. This is the Game on Financial podcast. We're going to get this started because we'll keep rambling if we don't. The first thing we're going to, my co-host, Joseph Lingle, tax manager here at Game on Financial. I normally let him introduce himself, but I don't want to today. So we're going to talk about first, let's talk about MW3 and tell me what you think about it overall. But before you do that, carry on with your thought we were just talking about. What do you think about the armory system?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, new COD came out. Basically, last game's same game. Basically, Modern Warfare 2 from last year.
DLC, baby.
Yeah, it just feels like a DLC, a $70 DLC, which kind of sucks. However, if you grinded last game, you've kind of already played this game, but now it has better maps and better movement. So there is some good things there. Overall, my thoughts are they fixed the things that needed to be fixed from last game, so I like that. That specific armory system and updating or leveling up your guns, is not good. I don't know why they did it that way other than to just get people to complete the daily challenges. I don't really even know why they want people to do that. But essentially, for those of you who don't know, you have to select a gun or an attachment or a whatever that you want to unlock, even though you've technically already got to the level to unlock it.
Yeah.
Kill streak. And then you have to complete daily challenges in order to do it for every little thing, right? For all of the dead silence, for a trophy system, for all these things. Even though you've gotten to the level that you technically need to get it.
And they release 3 daily challenges plus a bonus every day. And so if you're just a multiplayer player, some of the challenges require more than others. Like I think the covert sneakers were 2 or 3 daily challenges, but some of the guns are 3. The Karambit, I think, was 5. The VTOL is freaking, or the Harrier, whatever, VTOL Harrier, 8. There's 4 max. That's if you do the first 3, unlock the bonus, and then you can go into zombies and do 3 in the bonus. Like, it takes 8. So I got to play
unlock
like
1 kill streak.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we all know why they did it is because they want you on
engagement.
Yeah, they just want you on the game more, right? You're like, oh, I want to get the VTOL. And now I have to play 2 days in a row to get those daily challenges. So they already got you for 2 days with one thing. So I know why they did it. Oh, all in all, I mean, they fixed the things from last year that needed to be fixed with the game. So that actual inside the game is good. The movement feels pretty good. I'm impressed with them actually fixing red dots and dead silence. They have dead silence now where you're fully silent even without dead silence. It's a perk now, which is awesome. So for like competitive, which is the angle I look at the game with because I like the CDL and all that, I think it's going to be a good year. I do.
Yeah,
the time to kill feels good. It's slower, longer time to kill. And so all of that feels good. It being essentially a DLC from last year, I think they could have done a better job about that. But
I agree. You also what was it? The bone. What's the headset?
It's like bone reduction or something.
Bone reduction or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it's basically like sit rep, kind of like it. It basically reduces game noise so you can hear footsteps better. So you not only have that, but you also have the covert sneakers.
I will say this: the audio seems good actually.
Yeah,
like it does. Like I've noticed, I got very used last year to sound horn people and being able to hear people across the map, and you really can't play that way anymore. You have to go back to actual COD where you know spawns, you know where people are.
I got pissed because we were playing and a guy snuck up on me and he shot me in the back, and literally I was like, dude,
where's this guy? Yeah,
how did I not hear this kid? And he had the covert sneakers on. I'm like,
you have to get used to actually playing the map.
Like, wait a minute, like that makes sense now. I forgot.
Yeah.
I'll say Joseph gives the more competitive standpoint. I was a really big fan of rank play. That's really the first rank play I've actually given a lot of hours to last year. So for MW2. I loved
multiplayer rank play,
rank
not
play.
Warzone.
Hell no, that was awful. Multiplayer rank play was a lot of fun. I had more fun because the boys were on. We were playing consistently, leveling up. Really, just
you had a reason.
You
had a reason to like play. You wanted to get ranked. You wanted to see where you were ranked and all of that good stuff.
I'm interested to do it again this year, but I will say I probably don't have as competitive of a mindset as you do when it comes to it. Like zombies, we were just talking about. I have enjoyed zombies a lot. And I did not expect that. Like,
Well, you got in this summer. You got into
Diablo.
Yeah, to more of
and I didn't expect that
RPG style game, and I think that opened your mind a little bit to gaming in general because we for so long have been FPS players,
straight FPS,
and so I think maybe you're broadening your horizons.
Yeah, I played a lot of D2, so Destiny 2 had raids and stuff, and then they also had the what they'll call the competitive scene. It's nothing like COD's competitive scene. There's no actual esport to it, but running raids and stuff like that, I grew up doing that, and that was fun. But I'll say for Call of Duty in general, I think the zombies are good. Multiplayer has been fun. I'm looking forward to ranked, and then I'm really looking forward to Warzone because zombies is on the Warzone map, I believe.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about the new Warzone and all that stuff. I'm hoping, which we'll transition to here in a minute with OG Fortnite, I'm hoping that maybe they took a page out of Epic's book and they're going to bring back Verdansk. I don't know if that will happen. I know people will be excited about that.
World will go crazy, bro.
I hope Warzone, the new Warzone, is good.
They crashed the servers though. The concurrent player base, if they brought back Verdansk,
you think it'll be bigger than Fortnite was?
Not bigger, but it crashed the servers. I think Fortnite was prepared for what came.
Transitioning us to the topic of OG Fortnite, man, 45 million players back on that game. What the heck, man? We got
6 million concurrently at one time. Like
we got on and played.
We did.
We had a blast, man. I only ended up playing it, I think, 2 different days, mainly because COD did just come out right after it. So we played like 2 days of that week that was on. I had a good time, man. I will say I tried to play no build. It was not as fun to me as with the build, and it's not because like I really wanted to just build a bunch. It was more because the feel of the game didn't feel the same like it used to without building.
You said that when we were playing because we started with no build, and then you said like if it's OG Fortnite, let's go back and let's run builds.
And we did have people that were better than us playing,
Bro.
But I played a different day without you, and we played build the whole time, and we had a good time with it. Like
skill-based matchmaking. That's why.
No, it just
they got harder lobbies when I was in there. That's why I want y'all to hear it first. You heard it here.
But no, it really was. It really was fun, and they did a good job. I didn't think it was going to feel like it used to. It really did.
It did.
Yeah.
Loot Lake couldn't run in the water. Like you were just bouncing around. Like all of it was really, really.
I had to get used to like the sprinting thing. That was weird to me being able to do that.
That's how long we haven't played.
No, seriously, I have not played it since it like used to feel like it did feel.
Since you and I played, we played.
It was probably like season 9.
Yeah.
Of chapter 1. So I mean, it's been like 4 years.
You and I played some chapter 2, very little. Yeah, because you remember we played a little bit. This was when you could swim and all, and like go fishing and stuff like that. So like the map had.
We
just
did
changed.
Play chapter 2 for the first
like season 1, like literally like the very beginning of that, and then we didn't play much together after that because I
haven't played it since then.
Were we playing that when we were at the other firm? This was years ago. It would have had to been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we played a little bit of that together because I remember you introduced me to rank playing Fortnite, and I played that with you a little bit.
I don't know if it was called Arenas. That's what it was. It wasn't actual. They have
Arenas,
now.
Arenas. We played a little bit of that.
OG Fortnite.
Yeah.
Props. Props. They
awesome.
did good. They did really good. And honestly, I think they do good to keep it that way. I know even the players who are pros in that game and like never stop playing that are insane. Really enjoyed it too. Now, I'm sure they enjoyed it because they're probably playing lower skilled players, but at the same time, I don't think anybody's gonna complain with that era that was like so good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Epic did great by part of the growth that Fortnite saw was because Epic updated it weekly.
Yeah.
So I think you could say, well, updating it weekly got people to quit, but also I think it was a big part of them growing. I don't think they're ever going to just keep it stagnant. I don't think that's their model, but I do think it was really cool.
Seeing not only Fortnite hit the number of players that it hit, but also seeing Ninja get back up to 45 to 60,000 concurrent viewers. Seeing him play with Tim and
all
Lupo
those old
and,
squads linking up.
Yeah, Courage and like that was probably the most fun. Was like when Fortnite was at its peak and it was all this was happening for the first time. It was super nostalgic. But then like seeing all the boys get back on and like they're running it back like old times.
I heard some people talking about that and they were saying like I actually think it was Courage. Courage JD was talking about that exactly what you just said. And, you know, Nate Shot's response to him when they were talking about it was like, yeah, you know, it's crazy to think like between Fortnite and Warzone, like it really was just like a COVID, all happened during COVID and all. Like Fortnite being big was before COVID, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, that was like 2017, 18. Like that was 3 years before COVID happened when that was big, right? I was still in college. And yeah, it's just crazy to think about how long ago that felt, although it wasn't that long ago.
God, it feels like decades,
It's
man.
crazy.
That feels like so long ago.
But it really was cool. I don't think there's been a time besides maybe close thing I can relate it to is like when the COD pros go back and play like Black Ops 1 throwback tourneys. That's like the close of like that feel of nostalgia that you get. And even I think those things might be going away because they can't play the old games. But it was really cool to see like, okay, used to be really fun, kind of not as fun. Okay, we're going back. Like that's cool. And yeah, see the reunions of all the cool squads getting together.
It was great seeing it.
I'm sure Ninja loved it. Probably been a big couple months for him.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure Ninja.
Well, all the Fortnite players.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I know
Cypher. I mean,
Cypher.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a screenshot talking content creators here. I saw a screenshot Cypher put up on Twitter of his like last 5 videos, and he was like, "OG Fortnite doing good, doing well," and it was like over 1 million views on all of those videos. And I'm sure, that's something we've talked about before. To change the subject a little bit off of Fortnite specifically is, content creation is so volatile, right? I mean, you have a month where, let's say 2 months ago, before they announced OG Fortnite, where maybe some Fortnite creators are like, I'm gonna have to like switch games because it's so dead, right? Maybe they don't like competitive Fortnite or whatever. I can't think of a good example person, but point being, like at a low, right? The game they play is falling off a lot. They don't enjoy it, maybe something like that. To now, they announce OG Fortnite. That person's about to have insane viewership, insane support. People who maybe stopped watching them because of whatever, coming back to their game. Like that's a good example of how the content creation world and a lot of these people that we work with, their life can change based on things that are out of their control, like pretty easily.
Yeah. So tell me this, if you have a content creator that just happened to, and we're getting towards the end of the year, what would you say, what do you think they should do to prepare for that? Because you mentioned how volatile it is. Like you have let's assume you have a big end of year, right? Do you have any concerns put yourself in the shoes of a creator. Do you have any concerns now, like of how that's going to impact your financials, your taxes, anything like that?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. And I think we've seen that with creators who, maybe originally blew up with, let's say, Warzone 1 or Fortnite originally, right? Of creators that pretty much made their name off of a certain game. They might have gone from making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month to making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month or more pretty quickly. And that's kind of the scenario you're talking about here of like something drastically changes, whether it be OG Fortnite comes back or anything really. They just get a kick in the algorithm and their content pops off. These huge spikes and increases, as well as decreases would, but especially in this case, increases of income and just traffic as a whole, there's going to be a lot of things you need to consider. I mean, the first thing my mind comes to is taking advantage of it, right? Yes, there's the financial aspect and maybe taxes that we can talk about from our perspective, but as a creator specifically, I'm thinking like, how can I milk the most out of this while I do have the eyes on me? I mean, some of the things we see with creators that gain a lot of traction is like, okay, maybe we should do a merch drop during this time, right? Maybe we should capitalize on working with brands during this time. Maybe if you have an agent and brand deals have been dead for you for, a while, maybe you're like, hey, my videos are doing really, really well right now on YouTube, or my streams are popping off. I have 3 or 4 times the concurrent viewers I normally do. Let's reach out to some brands and see if they're interested in working together right now with these numbers. And those are things that the content creator specifically may not be thinking about, but you should, right? Because who knows? OG Fortnite's only out for 30 days. At the end of that 30 days, your Fortnite content might start taking a dip again. How can you kind of benefit off of that right now and going forward? Yeah, we talk about a lot how if you're not, you're in a spiral, whether you know it or not. And if you're not spiraling up, you're spiraling down. And content creation, man, is like when it rains, it pours. And so if you're in that period, that cycle of like, like you said, you go from 2, 3, 4 to 20, 30, 40,000 a month, you need to take advantage of that. It's like when it's raining, you better be trying to collect as much of that water as you can. Yeah. Warren Buffett says, like, if it's raining gold, I'd rather be sitting outside with a bathtub than like a little thimble or something trying to catch it. And you got to be prepared for that. And it comes at the end of the year. Like, you're right. Absolutely. You got to be looking at brand deals. Like, now that you got updated numbers, look at brand deals. Look at, if you have an agent,
push those numbers to your agents so that they can be more active. But also look at your taxes. Like, you're going to get hammered with taxes. It's not a secret. It's coming. Like, look at these things. Look at putting money away to save for when you know that drought is going to come. That's right.
Like, how many times do we have when we're doing where you go from a quarter 2 tax plan to a quarter 3 tax plan, and their numbers have skyrocketed because they had a huge Q3, or in this case, maybe from quarter 3 to quarter 4, right? And it's like their October, November, December between COD and Fortnite. I mean, you think of like certain content creators who, dipped into both of those pools, or dipping into both those pools right this minute. Their quarter 4 projection is going to change quite a lot, right? And if they're not thinking about these things, or they're not saving some of that money, they're going to owe a lot of taxes come, 3 months from now.
Yeah. I mean, you think even like you could do this thought experiment with Ninja. You could do it with, a smaller creator who maybe averages 100 viewers per stream. There, you can't look at somebody's income and say like, oh, it's going to be, flat, or just it's always going to trend up. Like, no, it's going to be like this. And it may over time, like if you zoom out on Ninja's career earnings, yeah, I mean, they probably trend up when you zoom out far enough. But I promise you, like,
there was big spikes.
There were spikes. He just went from 8,000 concurrent to 45,000, 60,000.
Well, and when
Fortnite
it's like when he started playing with Drake, it was exponentially high. Yeah. When he had the Mixer deal happen and it all fell through, it went exponentially low. And when he started streaming again, he had like 3,000 viewers, 2,000 viewers. That's a lot, but for him, that was an all-time low, and then now, to your point, now he's back to 60,
spike back up.
So yeah, it's not traditional business models where it's up and up and a little dip,
and the brand deals follow. Like, I bet if you took Twitch earnings and put them on a graph and showed, and not just Twitch, but YouTube as well, if you took these and put them on a graph and then you showed brand deals, it's like, okay, well, you had 3 months of 10,000 concurrent viewers. That's up for you. Like, the brand deals now are up 3 months after that. Like, they're lagging behind because once you present that, that's how it works. But then content drops off, the brand deals drop off. So like it's constantly up and down, up and down. There is no just you're going to stay steady. Not in content creation. That's not how it works.
I would honestly say that for the creators who can honestly listen to this and say that they do feel like it's been steady up, congrats to you. You're doing it well.
Yeah.
Because that would be, to me, that'd be a huge metric of achievement. If you can do that, a metric of success rather, because I can tell you from the creators that we have worked with in the past and currently, that's not at all how it works. And, that's not saying that any of the creators we work with don't do a great job. They do, but especially gaming creators, the games change, right? People's interests
Sometimes
changes.
They do too good of a job. Like, they get to the end of the year and we're projecting all year. We projected on this, and then they just popped off right at the end of the year. And we're like, well, you made literally in, let's call it a month and a half, 2 months, right? Because some of these, you have a big December for Call of Duty, but that payment doesn't hit till January, right? So it's not all there. But man, you sit there and look at like a month and a half, 2 months of work, and you're like, well, damn, like you made 8 months of income in just 2 months. Like, we could have never expected this. And the creators, like, even though it happens every year, it happens bigger and bigger every year. So last year we thought we were going to project, we know when Call of Duty comes out, you're going to have a big bump in your pay and stuff like that. We didn't know it was going to be this big, right? Or sometimes we have creators who take breaks, and we're like, we knew you were going to take a break, but we didn't know you were going to take a break for the whole year, right? And they get into it, and then they realize like, hey, I'm just going to keep taking a break. I had a creator I talked with earlier today that said they took a break, and it ended up being an 8-month break. They're about to get back into it. But when they started, they were like, yeah, I just thought I was going to be going for a month. But then when I got away, I was like, I still had brand deal money. YouTube was still doing well, and I just didn't feel like live streaming. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, income is still healthy, but it's just different.
It is. It's very different than traditional industries. And I think that, something that I'll sometimes recommend to clients when we're talking about what we think their year is going to look like is planning that out, right? Of like, okay, let's talk about your year. If your April, May, and June are going to be slow, or your April through August is going to be slow, maybe you do tailor back some of the contractors you're paying. Maybe you truly just don't invest as much in your business at this moment. You reduce expenses because income is going to be down. And then you ramp up and you build out your team in August and September, because you know September, October, November, December are going to be your big and best earning months. Yep. And that's when you truly ramp up. You hit YouTube hard, you stream more, right? You build out this schedule. Maybe you drop some merch. Maybe you start, working with more brands because your content's picking up. I don't think a lot of creators are thinking about this.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something that, obviously we're telling people, but I think agents, not all the time, but a lot of the time, they're so busy with all their creators they're doing, they're not able to go to a creator and be like, hey, you should be expecting the next few months to, start doing this. Like, I think the creator needs to take this on themselves,
Yeah, I agree. I wonder, that made me think, because you say that, and almost saying it like trying to plan out when your content is going to pop, right? I wonder if Ninja, for example, and we keep reverting back, but I'm going to relate
just for
this
example
to Fortnite.
purposes. Yeah.
I wonder if Ninja knew they were going back to OG Fortnite, and if so, how long before? Like, was it before the announcement was actually made?
Sure.
Because if let's say he didn't, right, and he met with his wife, who's basically his manager, and they were like, all right, we're going to go hard this summer, and they went hard, and he's about to burn out. I mean, he's been going crazy.
Sure.
And then Fortnite says, hey, we're bringing back the OG map. He's like, well, shit. Now I got to ramp back up. And
it's a good point. I guess to my perspective, there's always going to be bad timing.
Of course.
There's always going to be good timing.
Yeah.
These are things that we can't help. And for a lot of people that have hit it big in content and also in just other industries, right? They've become multimillionaires, billionaires. There was probably some good timing in there for them somewhere. Yeah. But my point more so is like viewing your business as when are the best times to go hard and when it's not. And no, you're never going to hit a nail on the head probably. You're never going to say, I'm going to start ramping up my streams and schedule in September, and then September is just the month you pop up. It's probably not going to be how it happens. But for these people who play these games that are cyclical, or their content is cyclical and it's built around certain events in the year, I think that's kind of what I was speaking to.
Yeah. I agree. I wasn't trying to play devil's advocate. I think it's just, it's really hard. Like, we talk about it and we lay this out. When you're actually doing it and practicing it, it's hard enough for us as accountants. We know when tax season is going to be, but we're still busy right now. We're still busy, during other times of the year.
Yeah, we say that sometimes. We're like, hey, we know we're going to have a slower fall and we'll do this and this. And then the fall gets here and we're slammed and
we're going, bro. We're like, we show up every day like the damn rents do. And and I love it. I wouldn't trade it. I'm very careful about trying not to burn out. We talked about consistency on a call the other day with the rest of the staff, and you've got to be active and adamant about it, but it's hard. It's very hard to maintain that balance. And I think
probably even harder for creators that we're live on stream.
I think with content creation, it can be even harder. And kudos to any of our content creators who have done it really well. Kudos to those who haven't, because that's part of finding that line, is sometimes learning it at the hard way. Mm-hmm. But, it's funny how, like, the more we've worked with these creators, we've realized, like, when the best time is to contact them and stuff like that, and how they communicate and these things. They're people like anybody else, and navigating time management and all this stuff, it's just hard, man. Yep. It really is. It's a job. Like, to anybody who says just sitting there, we talked about Reed Boy last night, because I told you he had been live since Call of Duty release for 149 hours at that time, which is absolutely
absurd,
maniacal. I mean, that's crazy. And, he's doing what he thinks he needs to do to crank out content,
to capitalize.
And everybody knows every year. He did it last year.
He did,
right? Yeah. And, everybody knows he's going to do it. He knows when he's going to be busy like that, and he's out there grinding for it. So I respect the grind for sure. Mm-hmm. But bro, what he's doing, like, that's not even like possible in a way. You know what I mean? Like, that is hard for anybody who says, like, people don't have a hard job. Like, well, go do what he's doing. I wouldn't I'm not actually advising it, because you need to eat and, like, shower and all that.
Take care of yourself.
But, like, bro, I do respect on a base level, like, he's getting after it because he knows this is the time for him to shine. His viewership is up a ton. He's getting 1,500, 2,000
and that's
viewers.
exactly a good example of what I was speaking to. Is just like, I don't know his viewership specifically or anything, because I don't follow him that closely. But I would almost guarantee his CCV in this past week has been double, triple, quadruple from what it was 2 months ago. Now, it may be similar to what it was last year at this time, but I'm sure he's one because I know he does play Call of Duty where it probably ebbs and flows as the game ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just it's an important point. I don't want to go past, though, one of the things you said and relating this all back to kind of us as accountants and what we do here at Game On Financial of, what if somebody does have a huge influx of cash here at year end or of income here at year end, some of the things they should be thinking about. And you mentioned it of like taxes, right? And saving. We just got through our Q3 tax planning here a few weeks ago. Obviously between October, November, December being Q4, we have a lot of creators that do have big year ends. That's just how, not just Call of Duty creators, but just in general, a lot of brand deals finally get paid out before year end. Maybe they're spending a little bit more money on things here at year end. Holiday season is a time where people are usually a little bit more generous with donations and stuff, gifted subs. So
that's true.
You see a lot of streamers and creators in general have big months at year end. What are some of the things you're talking to about to our clients about as we go into year end, doing these planning calls, and why should a creator be maybe potentially having the tax planning call? What does that entail?
Yeah, now is the time where not only are they probably making more revenue, but they're also probably feeling more generous themselves. So I would say the priority number one, it's not sexy, but taxes are coming due, and the winter is coming, and like knowing that, put that money aside. Like if you're not going to do anything else, you don't have to go hire a CPA. You don't have to do anything crazy. We would be happy to help if you want to do that. But if you just want base level guidance, like very generalist advice, take 30%, put it to the side. Like if you're having a great month, you just got signed to, we talked about Kick just re-signed a bunch of people. Like, okay, that's awesome. Kick just didn't re-sign, but signed the third class of partners, right? A lot of these creators, are going to get money that maybe they haven't seen in some time. Like I noticed a lot of names on that list that were part of the Facebook program. And so they had been out for a month. They
had that dip we're talking about.
They had the dip, right? And so now they're getting back on their feet with that monthly revenue, which is awesome. Don't go blowing that on everything else. And I know that's like the boomer advice, like don't go blow your money, put some in savings. Like I'm telling you specifically, tax time's going to come, and the self-employment taxes plus federal plus your possible state income tax, that's going to hurt.
It could be 40 or 50% depending on where you live.
Depending on where you live, yeah, 100. I was about to say 100%, but I don't want to confuse anybody. So yeah, absolutely. Better. What is it? Not analogies, but whatever. Put money aside. That if you want the most generalist advice, that's the best I can give you. Outside of that, come see us. We'd love to do a tax plan.
And that's something that we've kind of ramped up this year. We obviously do tax planning with our clients that pay us on a monthly basis that we work with throughout the year. We talk to them all the time. But this year we've started to launch basically a service offering where we're going to do tax planning just one-off, right? If you never work with an accountant, or maybe you do work with another accountant who actually prepares your taxes, but maybe they don't offer planning, we're now offering where you could just come to us, sit down, hour-long meeting, if it needs to be longer, maybe longer, of just saying, where am I at, right? Yeah. Hey, Garrett, here's what I've done this year to date. Maybe you don't even know, right? Maybe you actually need to come up with some numbers. You need help with that. How much tax am I probably going to owe? We recommend doing that before year end, simply because if there is any actions that need to be made, like, hey, you need an S corporation, your income is above that threshold, or, hey, you have an S corporation, but you don't have a payroll. We need to get a payroll ran for you. Or, hey, you're going to owe $150,000 in taxes. Why don't we pay some of that now, right? All these considerations that after year end, the tax is still going to be due. At that point, our hands are tied. We're going to be saying, well, we'll file a tax return for you, but there's no planning we can do.
Yeah.
There's very, very few options after the year ends, besides the only one I can even think of is maybe funding your retirement account, which has to be set up before year end. So very, very limited options there after year end.
Yeah, I'll say, I think people a lot of times they get analysis paralysis, and they get to the point where they don't know what to do, and so they
don't do anything.
And they don't do anything. Yep. Like, come talk with us, or find another accountant that you trust, somebody you trust, and talk to them. But if this is our podcast, so we'll obviously shout out our own service. Come talk to us, and we'll get you going down the right path, right? What we'll do, generally speaking, is present options. Like, hey, from a tax planning standpoint, here's what it's going to be with nothing done.
Right.
Here's maybe 2 or 3 things that we can do based on what we, the planning we're doing. And then we can go from there and say like, all right, if you want to choose option A and you don't want anything done, come back and see us. We'll prepare your tax return. At least now you know like what your tax situation is.
You can start saving. You can now
start
till April,
or go
right?
ahead and pay an estimate, right? Option B and C, like there's some kind of like, you mentioned an S Corp, we'll do that. So like S Corp, an implementation basically phase where we go in like, okay, you want to do this, we need to start getting the ball rolling, set it up.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, and we'll lay out, all right, in order to do this, here are the steps, right? And so now it's like in our hands, and we're guiding you through that now. So now it takes the decision-making out of your hands. Once you make the initial decision of, all right, I have 3 options, here's what I want to do.
Right.
From there, it's like, all right, we can basically go boom, 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 knock these things out, and then also do your tax return. So the reason I bring all that up and say that's just one example. If you have analysis paralysis, the best thing you can come do is talk to us. Because option D on all this is, you have option A, leave it, whatever, pay an estimate. Option B is like you S Corp. Option C is something else. Option D is like you literally just panic and don't do anything. That's the worst case because now you don't know it. You have no information to go off of. Tax time's going to come. You're going to be upset because you owe a lot of money. You're going to think that your accountant may have done the return wrong because you've never had to pay that much in your life before. And there's just so much around it.
And guess what? At that point, the money's still due.
Yeah, still due. Like
it was due just like it was due in option A when you at least knew it was coming. So that's something we really recommend to people, and it's not because we just want you to come work with us. Obviously, we do.
Yeah.
However, if you can know, let's call it 5 months in advance, right? Because the 4 months for April, and then essentially we have a month and a half till year end. You can do a lot with 5 months. If you do end up having a big year end and you are going to owe a lot of tax, okay, now you are saving, right? And you know that number, like, hey, I need to have this amount of money come April 15th that I can start saving up, right? And just knowing that alone gives people a lot of sense of just security and understanding of like, hey, okay, this isn't good. I owe a lot, but I can start saving. Or maybe you don't owe a lot and you're like, I'm in great shape. How awesome is that just to know that? And so I think a lot of it is paying for peace of mind, but at the same time, I tweet about this all the time, but viewing your content creation business as a business, right?
Yep.
Part of that is saving. Part of that is investing. Part of that is taxes. You can't just say, I'm just going to grind the stream from now till April and what you can, but it's going to be a lot more stressful.
Yeah. The moment you decide to basically go into this game, you have to pay taxes like everybody else. Like you don't get a pass. So whether you want it to be a business or not, it is based on just that alone. There are several other considerations that you have to worry about because that basically make it a business. But I can speak to taxes because I'm a CPA, and I'll tell you that's coming whether you want it to or not. It does not matter like who you are.
And a lot of these people that are creators, maybe they stream on the side part-time, maybe they do have a W-2 job, and that does have withholdings. But guess what? That 1099 from Kick is not going to have withholdings on it, and it's going to have self-employment tax.
Yeah, and 1099 from Kick, Twitch, YouTube, because you can multi-stream on all of them now. So when you get all that and it sounds really confusing, come see us. Shout out. Yeah, it can be a nightmare. It can be a headache. We take for granted the fact that we have been doing this for so long now. It to us is like the back of our hand. It's like riding a bike. To our creators, I always consider the fact that to them it can be very, very scary. And again, you mentioned peace of mind, like just knowing, like, man, that how much is that worth to you? Like, would you pay $1,000 to just know, like, okay, I'd rather know now that I'm going to owe $10K in 6 months, right? Versus 6 months come, I haven't saved, I don't have that cash. I feel like the IRS is going to take me to jail in handcuffs when that's not going to happen.
Here's a real actual consideration when you put it. You just asked me kind of openly that question. Would you pay $1,000 for that? Well, here's the reality. If you don't pay $1,000 for it, you're going to pay more than $1,000 in penalties and interest because come April 15th, when let's use 10 grand. So it's 10 grand and you don't have the money. So you just don't pay it, right? Okay. Well then every month after that, May, June, July, let's say it takes you till the end of the year to save it up. There's going to be penalties and interest inflicted at every month of that. It's probably going to be, it might be more than $1,000. I mean, I don't know the exact amount, but that you're going to end up paying for not knowing it.
Yeah.
So you're going to probably pay it either way. Why wouldn't you pay it to somebody, us or someone else to then say, hey, okay, at least now I know and I can start saving. It's probably going to have to pay it in penalties and interest anyway. And let me get this out of the way, Yeah,
that anxiety. Why carry the anxiety for 8, 9, 10 months when you just don't have to? And you may say like, well, that system's busted. That sucks. I'm like, well, that's what I was saying
That's what
earlier.
it
That's
is.
business.
Yeah.
That, I don't know another way to tell you.
Yeah.
I wish it weren't the case. I would find another job if I could. This is what we do for a living. Is trying to save people from that anxiety.
And I can tell you too, you know, we love helping people, both of us. That's why we got into this job that we do. There's nothing better than when we can get on a call with somebody and lay it all out for them, and they say, "Oh wow, I had no clue," or "Oh, can we do this?" And we're like, "Yes, we can," and we're actually making steps to make things a lot better for them.
Yeah.
We had a few creators that we work with that we started working with this past tax season. And so at that point, it was no planning. It was, here's my numbers. We did a return.
Yeah.
Now we've worked with them, right, for the past 9-10 months. And now we're going into another tax season here soon after working with them for a year. And, you know, I've had quite a few of them tell me now, I feel so much better about going into this tax season versus last year when I had no idea, right?
We've gotten that a lot. It's funny. I'll tell a quick story. One of those creators you were just talking about, obviously I'm not going to give names, but one of the creators that we service this tax season came to us during tax season. So there's no real planning we can do. We managed to catch their books up, and that was awesome. So we got their books caught up. I think this return was actually like a 2-week turnaround, something like it. And it was deep in it. This wasn't like a client we signed in February. This was deep into tax season. So we did it was pretty impressive, right? That you and Jamarian turned it around that quick. I went and punched the numbers. I looked it over. I don't remember the numbers. I'm going to like throw it out there. I think the client owed like $30K, and they had a really good year the year before. And some people, anybody watching this, maybe like $30K. Oh my God, you know. But for this creator, that it was not a ton of money. But I'd never worked with them before. So when I'm about to present this number and be like, you owe $30,000, I think state was like another probably 10, right? So it was 40 total. And I'm like figuring out how I'm going to say this to them and all that, because I'm like, I haven't worked with this person before. They're new to us. We just turned their work around in 2 weeks. I'm thinking like they may question like, did y'all do this too fast? What'd y'all miss? And so I reached out on Discord and I said, hey, tax return's done. Would love to hop on a call. Just so you know, before we hop on, I hope you're sitting down. Here are the numbers, you know. And I just bullet point like federal 30, state 10. If you need to talk through this, whatever. And I'm being kind of like overcautious, like we can talk about it. Like already planting the seeds, like don't
those
like,
are the hardest conversations we have to have.
Don't
when we
react crazy here. I'm just letting you know.
I'm just the messenger.
You know, we've worked together for all of 2 weeks, brand new here, right? And I've known this content creator through chat and stuff, so I didn't think they were just going to blow up on me by any means. But also, it's a lot of money. So anyway, told them that. They came back like almost immediately. They're like, what? Are you kidding? Something like that. And I'm thinking the worst. But it was, what? Are you kidding? That's awesome.
Like that was all?
That was all. Yeah. And I was like, that's it? That's all I owe? Because they, in their mind, had thought basically they were going to owe $50,000 to $60,000. So a $10,000 to $20,000 swing there. And the reason they thought that was just because they basically applied a base percentage to their income, like 30%, like I said earlier.
But they didn't think about their expenses and probably other things that we did to help.
Because you guys went back and caught up the books and y'all went and tracked all these expenses and all this stuff. And I say you guys like we're all one team here, but you and Jamarian handled the books. I remember specifically. And so like y'all went and grabbed those expenses and y'all did a very good job of basically getting them a profit and loss statement that showed their income and their expenses. They had just applied it blanket on the income. So because of that, like how much goodwill did we just bring in saying like, well, this is great. I'm glad you're happy, satisfied. Imagine we had told that person they had just come and paid us, a couple $100,000 in November. And we did
they would have not been stressing
for
that how many months where they just had no clue.
And they were stressing that. I want to point that out. They were stressed. They were very adamant. They were scared to death of owing that $50,000 to $60,000.
And I was about to say, and not only does that relieve the stress, but also what could they have done with the $10,000 to $20,000 they didn't have to pay in taxes? Maybe they could invest that in their business. $10,000 to $20,000. That's a lot of thumbnails. That's a lot of people that you can hire to help. That's a lot of time off of rest that you need to
It's a lot of editing.
It is. So I think that's a huge point, and we try to wrap all that in, not to sell our own services, but more to just say, when you're looking at your business as a whole, consider taxes, and then also consider something like tax planning, to where it's not just, I pay an accountant to do my taxes each year. No, let's think about this from a wider view of, can we plan? Can we set up estimates? Can we, honestly, we're telling you do it right here at year end, but hopefully you've done it already this year. Hopefully you already kind of have an idea, and this would be like a secondary tax planning meeting.
Yeah, I'll say this, Jamar, and you can clip it later on, but I'll say this, the tax planning also, you kind of have, I would say there are like two components to it. So you have planning, and a lot of that could be, you know, here's this deduction, that deduction, like truly like taking in a situation and then me coming back and saying like, all right, based on what I see, here are a couple ways you could save money, right? You could have a retirement account, HSA, health insurance, whatever. Right. It doesn't matter. S Corp. There are a billion ways. There aren't really a billion, but there are a number of ways. That's planning. Then you also have scenario analysis, and I don't think people consider this a lot, but let's say you're considering buying a car at the end of the year for the business, or you're considering selling your house next year. You're considering doing these things, and you want to basically put them, I would say maybe side by side or something like that, and look at the overall tax consequence of each thing, because the taxes are a very real consequence of decisions. Let's at least have that information in mind, right? Mm-hmm. If you tell me we're getting to the end of the year, you have the cash, you are going to spend it on something, but you could spend it on, let's take a new PC, $5,000. And you're debating on whether or not to spend it because it costs $5,000. Mm-hmm. Well, when we get to the end of the year, you have the cash, you're already going to make a decision to buy something. Your decision between the business, PC, or just something personal. That PC no longer is $5,000. It's $5,000 minus the difference in what you would pay in tax, right? Mm-hmm. So if spending it would save you $1,000 in taxes, the PC net of everything is actually a $4,000 purchase. Now, right. You do have to come out cash upfront $5,000, but if you're doing it year in, you file the return here in February, like that is a very actual real money savings back in conversation. Your pocket. Exactly. Yeah. So
and the savings only get bigger as the number get bigger. Right? So to your point about a $5,000 PC, well, maybe what if we're talking about a $100,000 car? You know, and a
$60,000 retirement contribution, right, where you get to keep the money, but you also just save $20,000 in taxes,
and you just transfer it from one of your accounts to a different one, like that those types of things. And these are things that I think smaller creators, or maybe even larger creators that have never worked with an accountant before, aren't doing tax planning, don't think about, right? They just have not considered these options. And a lot of the times, Garrett, what do we see? We see people who are doing those things anyway, right? Mm-hmm. They're buying the car regardless, but they don't actually know the implication it's having until after the fact. You know, we've had people come to us that sold properties or sold investments, and then after the fact, and they're like, how much am I going to owe in capital gains? You know, and we're like, why didn't you bring this to us first so we could talk about, hey, here's what it looks like with, here's what it looks like without. You know, we've had clients that, you know, didn't even realize that they had loss carry forward, which, not to get in the weeds, but maybe they had losses from prior years they couldn't take. And this year would be a perfect year to claim that income because now they have something to offset it. Yeah. And they just didn't even know it.
Absolutely.
And so these are conversations that as your tax situation gets more complex, or you feel like it is, you should be doing tax planning with somebody, because there may be considerations you've just never even thought about.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, is all of these considerations plus some are what we do for a living. It's getting people comfortable enough to say, like, that is worth the money. Like, I could see why I would do that, even if for no other reason than you could show me your tax return, and I'm like, there's really not any way I could save you money. But when that, I don't know a time that has actually happened recently, but even if that did happen, at least you got the peace of mind. Like, now at least you know projection wise what you're gonna
where you're gonna be. Yeah.
That is worth. I plan for myself, for my family. Mm-hmm. I have this business. I mean, we have other things that we have to like actually plan for. My wife has her own business. Mm-hmm. I do planning for us because like
you want to know.
It stresses me out.
Yeah, you
like,
want to know.
Shit, we made a lot of money this month. Like, I need to know what's going to happen. Or we're about to go through the summer and it might be a little dry. Like, I want to know, like, okay, how's that going to affect tax planning? Like, I want to know the same way anybody else does. Yep. The only difference is I can do it for myself. Other people have to get comfortable with asking for that service.
Sure.
We provide it. So if you want to ask for that service, please hit me up.
If you don't know if you need tax planning, just reach out.
We're not going to charge you initially for the call just to find out whether you need planning or not. Hop on a discovery call with us. We'll talk through everything with you. We will be as transparent as possible. We will let you know when any money is going to come out of your account. You will know everything. But we can't do that if you don't call us initially to start with.
That's right.
So I would encourage people, if you ever have questions, you are running through that analysis paralysis, please reach out. You can DM us on Twitter. You can also find us. Obviously, we check our comments for YouTube, anywhere like that, our normal socials. Our email addresses are listed on the website. I'm trying to think. I mean, we try to be as available as possible.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we're sending out a newsletter monthly. Get linked up on that. We're tweeting that out. So you can go sign up for it on there, just so you're kind of catching up with our news. Even maybe you can't afford services yet, but you want to follow with what we have going on.
Yep.
You can do that there. All the links to book are in that as well. Yeah, I was just trying to think as we roll into year end, we do have a few updates. I'll say this. A month from today, actually, is DreamHack Atlanta.
Yeah.
I believe you and Jamarian are both going to be there. I still don't know if I'm going to go yet or not, but we will be there. I know quite a bit of creators are going to be there.
Yeah. We'll be there one day. So we're going to go for Friday, just so everybody's aware. We're only going for the one day. But, yeah, I've seen a ton of creators are going to that.
Yeah, a lot of creators. A lot of people are getting sponsored to go, I think, getting flown out there, which is really, really cool. Yeah. I've never been to a DreamHack before, but I've seen them, and it looks like it'll be awesome. Some tournaments and stuff going on. So
we got Call of Duty dates for the CDL.
Yep.
So we'll probably try and plan to go to 1, 2, maybe even 3 events because they're all pretty close.
I say we should go to Champs. My personal opinion in the summer.
We got Champs, but we got Charlotte as well, right?
So, yeah, we got Charlotte, which is only about 4-hour drive from us. So.
Which we were surprised about. We didn't know that it was so easy to get to Charlotte from where we are in Savannah, but.
Yeah, no. So yeah, events coming up. Definitely going to go to some events next year. We'll probably try to hit TwitchCon again. We're excited about that. And then yeah, just holidays. I mean, I'm going out of town tomorrow. We'll be hit or miss around Thanksgiving, and then going into Christmas, I'm sure we'll be hit or miss as well. We have a lot to do before year end. For anybody still listening, we are going to be running some promotions for tax season. We're going to be doing some giveaways.
Absolutely.
We're super excited about that. If you are still listening, hang around for that. If you're wondering what's going on, definitely follow Twitter. That's where they'll be announced. So we're excited for those things. And yeah, I think this was kind of a quick podcast today, but we will be, as we're traveling over the next few weeks, we will be doing these as often as we can. We're not falling off. We just had some pre-planned stuff coming up. So and then we've been sick the past couple weeks. So
yeah, back to back.
We'll be getting these out. We do have a few guests lined up, so some new guests coming on the podcast soon.
Yep.
Going to get a few content creators on, so that should be really exciting as well.
Yeah, super excited. We also I'm going to be on another podcast here shortly, so there's a lot of things going on. The end of the year is always crazy for us, but crazy in a good way. I'm super excited. Macy put the tree up in the house.
Nice.
We've got our Christmas tree up, so. I love this time of year. I do despise how, we talked about anxiety earlier. This time of year always causes me anxiety, and it's for all the wrong reasons. Like when I'm with family, I feel like I should be working. When I'm working, I feel like I should be with family. So fighting that battle every year, owning your own business, it's hard. But yeah, I love this time of year. I'm super excited about the events we're going to see. And yeah, super excited to continue growing, man. We've had a bunch of new client calls. We talked about planning earlier. We've had a bunch of planning clients book, and that's, so much fun to me because last year this time we didn't, we had clients booking, but not for tax planning, so
now we're actually getting to help people before
much
the year,
more
pre-tax
proactive.
season. Yeah.
Love it, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Super exciting. Anything else? I think we covered most of our news topics. Anything we didn't cover, we can probably hit on the next podcast, but
no, I think that's it. Yeah. Like and subscribe, drop us comments if you have questions. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Peace.